In Four Gardens, the four gods are looking for an heir. They're looking for someone to build the most pristine garden around the mystical pagoda. Your goal is to complete landscape cards, finish sets called Panoramas, and score the most points earned from building the best garden. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Dice Tower. My name is Tim Chuon and I make board game cinematics. Today we are going to learn how to play Four Gardens by Arcane Wonders. So the very first thing you want to do is go ahead and stack the pagoda segments randomly. Now you're going to stack these randomly on top of each other and then place them on this circular platform. Make sure each player is facing a different side of the pagoda. And then on the very bottom pagoda, there's a side that shows 3 resources. Rotate the other 3 floors, that way each side shows 3, 2, 1, and 0 from bottom to top. You can put the scoreboard right next to the pagoda and then give every player one of these planning tiles. You can also give them 4 scoring markers of the same color, and then put one of each player's score markers on the 3 space of each god's track on the scoreboard. Then make sure all the cards are landscape side up. Shuffle them and deal 5 to each player, so that way when you're holding them in your hand, you should be seeing the groundwork side. The rest of the deck can go next to the scoreboard with the landscape side face up. And then with that draw pile, you're going to draw 3 cards and then place them face up to make an open draw right at the center of the table. Resources go in the center at each of the 4 corners of the pagoda. Now these are bonus tiles and they go next to the scoreboard, but make sure that the 2 sets that have numbers on them are arranged in descending value from top to bottom. So 4 will be on top and then 3, 2 at the very bottom. You do the same thing with the other numbered pile of bonus tiles. The first player is whoever last visited a pagoda. Okay, we are now at the most fun part of every single board game tutorial, which is finally learning how to play. So the whole point of this game, the whole goal is to ultimately complete these landscape cards, and the completed set is called a panorama. You have a total of 3 actions that you can take on your turn out of 4 possible actions, and you can repeat them multiple times. So here is the very first action. Let's go over them one by one. Action number 1 is to lay the groundwork, where you play 1 card from your hand straight into your garden with the groundwork side face up. There is no cost to this action. So think of this action as planting seeds in your garden. Here's a breakdown of the cards. The top left will have the god symbol, so if you complete this set of cards, you'll advance your marker on that particular god's track. This hand card symbol you'll see on every single card. What it means is that you can discard it in order to reallocate the resources, and we'll talk about that action specifically in a bit. Zooming on over to the bottom, you'll see resources that you'll need to convert the groundwork into a landscape. The pagoda symbol tells you which pagoda you can rotate and collect resources from. And the top right of the card will tell you the panorama color and which order it's in for that particular panorama. For instance, this green card means that it is the 4th card in the panorama set. Okay, so all we're doing is playing 1 card from our hand with the groundwork side face up. From there are a couple of notes that you should know about this. The groundwork card can be started at any frame. So the first card you put down doesn't necessarily need to be the very first card in the set. It could be the 3rd card, it could be the 4th card, in any order you want. You also can't lay the same frame from the same panorama. So I can't put the 3rd blue card and then another 3rd blue card for the same panorama. You can, though, put other frames in the same panorama even if they're not connected, meaning I can lay the 1st frame of blue and the 3rd frame of blue even if I don't have the 2nd one just yet. Okay, last note, but very important note, which is why we're going to zoom in to make sure you know that it's serious. You cannot have more than 1 of the same panorama in your garden. So once you finish a set of orange, you cannot have a 2nd set of orange panoramas. Action number 2 is to rotate and collect. If a card has this pagoda symbol, you can discard it in order to rotate the pagoda 90 degrees according to the floor highlighted in black, and then gain resources in order according to the side of the tower that you're facing. Those resources then go onto your planning tile, these hollow tiles. In this case, if I discard this card, I rotate the 2nd floor, which means that everything above that floor also gets rotated. And then I start collecting from the top to the bottom, as you'll notice with this floor highlighted in gray. You're just following the arrow. That means I collect 2 water and then 2 plants, and I can't collect stone because my planning tile is now full. Now other cards, instead of this pagoda symbol, are going to have this wild symbol on the top right corner. All that means is that you're going to discard these cards and take a wild resource from the supply to put on one of your active groundwork cards or on an empty space on your planning tile. And the final action you have, action number 4, is to reallocate resources. Remember that hand card symbol I mentioned earlier that all cards have? Okay, for these you can freely move your resources around as much as you like in the following combinations. From the planning tile to an active groundwork card in your garden, from 1 active groundwork card to another active groundwork card, or from your planning tile back to the supply, and you would do this in order to get rid of your unwanted resources or to make room for more. That's it. So 3 actions on your turn that can be used to repeat the same action more than once. So you're going to lay a groundwork card, but ultimately, even though you're placing them face up initially, your goal is to convert them into landscape cards. In order to do that, you need resources listed on the card. in order to get resources, that leads to action number 2, which is rotating the pagoda by discarding a card and following the pagoda symbol on the top right corner, which tells you which floor you would start rotating the pagoda from and where you would collect resources to put onto your planning tile. But then you need a way to move resources from your planning tile onto your landscape cards, leading to action number 4, reallocating resources. So those resources that I gained from the planning tile, from the rotating action, can now be moved on over to the groundwork. Or I can move it from the groundwork to another active groundwork. Or in case my planning tile is full of resources that I don't need at that moment, I can get rid of them on the planning tile by discarding a card with the handcart symbol first and then moving them to the general supply. Don't forget that you always have to discard a card or play a card for every action that you perform. And lastly, let's say I need a specific resource. You can discard wild cards and take any resource you like and then put them anywhere you like as well. You can put them on the planning tile or directly on an active groundwork. Now, once a groundwork has all the resources to be converted into a landscape, you put those resources back to the supply and the card gets turned over and you advance on the god track of the indicated color. If it shows all 4 colors, then you can choose which track that you want to advance in. Now, as you're completing sets, you also gain the rewards of any previously completed landscape cards in the same set. By scoring the multi-symbol card this turn, I would go up on any track, plus I would also go up 1 space on purple as well. If you finish a set and complete a panorama, you also collect the topmost bonus tile from one of the 3 bonus tiles that we set up in the very beginning, but you cannot have 2 of the same type of bonus tiles. This one gives you a 5th slot on your planning tile. This one lets you collect resources from the supply equal to the number on the tile, and this tile is worth the raw points shown during end game. If a player is the highest on a certain track and they score on that particular track again, they can actually move another player within the same track down 1 space. And if that player scores below 2 and gets knocked off the board, they permanently lose the ability to score in that particular track. Now, once you finish your turn by completing 3 actions, you're going to draw back up to 5 cards. You can draw straight from the draw deck, or you can also take from the open draw row. If you do take from the draw row, make sure that after you finish drawing cards, you can refill this back up to 3. End game is triggered by different player counts. So in a 2-player game, it's when someone has completed 10 landscape cards, 9 landscape cards for 3 players, and 8 landscape cards for 4 players. Now, once endgame is triggered, you finish the current round. That way everyone has an equal number of turns, and you count the final scores by totaling each number on each of the gods' tracks, and also any additional points from the extra rewards bonus tile. Highest number of points wins, and ties are broken by the highest number of completed landscape cards. Double ties are broken by the largest completed panorama. That, my friends, is how you play 4 Gardens. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Dice Tower, and we'll see you in the next video.